Give us 60 minutes and we'll give you Nelson Radio every Saturday from 2 to 3 p.m. on KTLK AM 1150. With 29 years in the mortgage business and an array of top-level guests visiting the show, Nelson is in a unique position to bring you cutting-edge information on real estate, business, finance, and law. If you have any questions for Nelson or any of his guests, give him a call at 888-888-2136. That's 888-888-2136. Or check him out online at nelsonradio.com.
Nelson Radio.
Welcome back to Nelson Radio. We're right here in Burbank, the studios of KTLK AM 1150. This segment brought to you by Insurance Incorporated, professional and courteous insurance services. Kind of like the Ruby story, courteous service. That's something that I think we all need to inject back into our business practices. Check out my guest host upcoming show. This is going to be on the 29th of June. Marco Ruffo has a luxury estate up in Malibu, staring out over the ocean, 270-degree view. Can it get any better?
No, it can't. 31240 Beachview Estates in lovely Malibu. It's fantastic. It's been a hub for many celebrities. This one has been rented to many celebrities. Fantastic. Can't wait.
It'll be a great show. And you can find out more. You can go to nelsonradio.com, click through to Marco Ruffo's site and see the property that's showcased there, or just reach out to us direct, 888-888-2136. That's 888-888-2136. Marco, I'm excited to bring Brian Chu from OC Wills and Trust Attorneys into the studio and really just look a little bit closer on being proactive. I mean, the estate planning, it's something, at least in my world, I know I need to do it, and it's something I'm about to get to. Brian, is that one of your biggest frustrations?
It's that's everybody that comes to me. It's they've been delaying, procrastinating, they're doing their estate plan. They know they have to do it, but they just keep putting it off.
You know, it's one of the first questions I ask a lot of my clients if they've done that. And you'd be amazed at some of the most intelligent people that I represent that don't have estate planning. Some
of the most financially successful, and they're totally exposed.
Inept when it comes to that area.
So, Brian, what do you do with that? I mean, you have obviously some examples, not so much with your practice, but you've heard of other just life situations of something comes up, the spouse dies, and that estate planning hasn't been done. What's the risk?
The biggest risk is if you don't have documents in place, the government will make the decisions for you. If you don't have a power of attorney, you don't have a trust, you don't have these type of documents, the government's going to decide what happens to you, your family, and your assets.
And then don't forget the squabbling siblings.
Well, that too. I mean, like I said, we have any number of cases, and I see it all the time. You know, families are squabbling about who should get what's supposed to happen, and if there's no instructions, it's a free-for-all, and ultimately the courts have to decide. And as soon as you get the courts involved, that means you got to get other attorneys involved, and that's going to cost your heirs tens of thousands of dollars.
It's a lose-lose all the way around, for sure.
Who is, from the government, who is it that actually steps in?
It's the probate court. When there's not the sufficient documents in place, it's the probate courts that get involved. They decide things. They approve who's going to be in charge. They approve the activities of those people that are going to be in charge. And because of that, your family has to hire typically a probate attorney. That attorney is going to charge tens of thousands of dollars for taking care of that probate. And that probate's going to take typically anywhere from 12 to 18 months to resolve itself. And that's in the simplest cases. That's where, there's no even fighting about who gets what. It's the money's going to go to the kids, but there isn't sufficient documentation to get the money to the kids without having to go to court.
What about the care for the kids? Because that's, I think, the number one thing that I think most people think about. Let's say mom and dad, they're in a tragic accident. Probate court's not making decisions for those kids. It's the extended family that's coming in, isn't it?
Yes. Well, it is ultimately the courts are, God forbid something happens to you. I have kids of 3 and 5-year-old kids myself, and that's probably the single most important thing that you can do in your estate planning is make sure that you get to choose if something happens to you and or your spouse, who's going to take care of your kids, who's going to be the caregiver. Because if you don't have that documents that indicate that, the court's going to decide on their own. Whoever applies is who they're going to decide amongst, and those people may not be the people you want. If you decide ahead of time, 99 out of 100 times, the family court, they're going to say, okay, we're going to go with the person you want. And that's really what estate planning is all about, is you deciding who's going to be in charge of yourself, your family, and your assets if you can't be.
In Marco, we all have on the internet plenty of choices, plenty of options, and one of them, I think I'll brand the name here, but let's just say if you went onto the internet and we're going to do some legal work and you were going to Zoom someplace. And something I learned from Brian is that these kinds of platforms are not legal platforms.
No, they're not.
And I didn't realize that. Brian, is that true with the majority of them?
In fact, all of them. They advertise right on their commercials. They're not a law firm. They're a document preparation service at your direction. In other words, you tell them what you want, and they produce a document, which in some cases may be okay, but in the situation, for most people, you're not getting any legal advice from them. In fact, they say that. They're not a law firm. They can't give you legal advice. They can't tell you if you're making a mistake, or they can't inform you what the impact of your decisions are. They you just input what information they ask for on the website, and they spit out some documents to you. That's not to say the documents aren't any good. It's just that the client hasn't gotten any legal advice, and making sure that they're doing the right thing, because this is probably the single most important documents you're going to create, and you're leaving it up strictly to a computer to spit out some documents to you, as opposed to talking to a real person who can advise you and educate you on the process.
I guess maybe I'm a little more naive, but I was surprised by that. Not they're producing legal documents. I assumed it came from legal counsel as the engine behind it, and not just legal document providers. No different than if I was going in for an operation, I wouldn't want to be with a medical advisor. I think I'd want to be with a physician.
You're absolutely correct on that. But, think of it this way. I mean, I do believe those documents are created by attorneys. However, you could be filling out the wrong document, and it's a per-case basis, right, Brian? I mean, everyone's situation is unique. And so, I mean, how can a standard document suit the uniqueness of a particular situation? They can't. So that's really the problem, right?
Exactly. I mean, you want to make sure that the documents fit your situation. Now, your situation may be pretty standard, but maybe it's not. Maybe there are things you haven't thought of, and that's the issue. Is my job as an attorney is to flush those things out, ask you questions. Make sure that you are, make sure you know what you're doing, you know what the impact of your decisions are, because again, a website can't convey that. They can educate you a little bit, but really talking to an attorney, we know where the bad things that can happen if you don't set up your plan correctly.
Right.
And that's what you want to make sure you're protecting you and your family, and especially if you have kids. That's for most of us, that's our single most important thing that we want to make sure you take care of, and that's what these documents do. They help make sure that your kids are taken care of.
Rule of thumb, the most important decisions of your life and protecting your assets, you don't go online and fill out some paperwork. I mean, you would think, but I guess a lot of people do it.
Yeah, not me.
And not me,
Well, it's kind of like, if you're going to go in for surgery, do you want to go in with the cheapest guy? You want to go with the guy that's going to do the good job for you at the right price.
Yeah, there's not a lot of price shopping when it comes to your medical coverage, and it shouldn't be with taking care of your kids if something happened as well. Brian, I think it's wise advice. I appreciate you being here. That's Brian Chu, OC Wills and Trust Attorneys, right here in Orange County. 888-888-2136, or you can find Brian's contact information. You've got a seminar coming up both on the 19th and 26th of June at your offices in Irvine, California. You can find out about those seminars as well. That's 888-888-2136. I'm Nelson, and I'm here with my guest host, Marco Ruffo. We're moving towards the Coach's Corner, and Rita Langland, the founder of Treasures of Africa, just returning from Africa last night, is going to share some stories with us. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Nelson is a licensed lender under the California Department of Corporations, NMLS 331060.
This is Nelson from Nelson Radio, and it's important that we talk about a very serious issue. We had bad lending practices that led to the mortgage meltdown, but now we've got the challenge of deplorable customer service coming out of the meltdown. Bottom line, getting a new loan can be like pulling teeth without Novocaine. I've got the solution. Academy Mortgage and my team are injecting into the industry real performance and real accountability. Here are the facts. Appraisals in less than a week. Rate guarantees that can improve if the market goes down. Purchase transactions with our market-exclusive close-on-time guarantees, and refinance transactions in as little as 30 days. Who would have thunk? Guaranteed rates and guaranteed performance from your mortgage lender. Call me, Nelson, an accountable loan expert for nearly 3 decades, direct at 888-888-2136. That's Nelson at 888-888-2136, 888-2136 or at strongcreditrewards.com.